Hey guys, so this week I've been playing Call of Juarez, the Cartel. Now the Call of Juarez games are traditionally cowboy games. They're set in the West, the Wild West, there's all guns blazing. This one's not. This one's actually set in more modern times, but it's supposed to have a cowboy feel, or at least does it. I don't know. Well, here's my opinion of Call of Juarez, the Cartel. The Call of Juarez games have always been some pretty decent cowboy games. And honestly, cowboy games are one of the genres that I think there just aren't enough of. We used to see a lot of World War II games, and now it's all modern realistic shooters, but it seems like cowboys are a thing that are timeless. Everyone loves cowboys. I don't understand why there aren't more cowboy games. And here we are with Call of Juarez, the Cartel, and it's not a cowboy game. It's a modern-day shooter. It seems like what they're trying to do is take a more cowboy sensibility and put it into the modern time, with the story and the gameplay and all that stuff. The question is, does that work? And the answer is obviously no, it doesn't work. They've kept all the features like dual wielding and the slow time taking out a bunch of enemy guys, and just updated the weapons and the location, and you would think, hey, that's perfect. But the reality is, it doesn't really work. With all the updated weapons but the same gameplay as before, you'd think that it just would feel like the same kind of game. But the problem is, when you remove the cowboy aesthetic, you kind of see the game for what it is, a very generic, bland shooter. You're basically repeating the same actions over and over again in somewhat varied locations, but you kind of stick to the same locations for incredibly long amounts of time. You seem to be only fighting the same, 3 bad guys over and over and over again. And overall, it feels like not a whole lot of time or energy was put into this game. It feels very phoned in. There is one aspect, though, that they use to try and make the game stand apart from the crowd. You can play the game co-op with 2 other people, and what's interesting is not only are you working together to beat the game, you also kind of work against each other. As you're playing the game, you and your buddies are running around shooting all the enemies like you would do in a co-op game, but there's also these character-specific secret objectives in each level. Based on who you're playing as you're running around in the game, you might get a phone call from a hooker saying, hey, can you help me find this stuff so I can get money, or from your ex-partner saying, hey, if you steal these drugs, we can sell them. And as these tasks pop up, it's your objective to not only kill all the bad guys with your partners, but try and do this secret objective subtly without them seeing. It's this really cool concept of trying to be a good guy and do the good thing, but also trying to be out for yourself at the same time. In practice, though, it doesn't really work because the gameplay doesn't move beyond, hey, press X when you're standing here and hope your partner doesn't see you. If you get caught, nothing happens, you don't lose anything, you just don't gain XP. It's the kind of element that could have really made this game just that much better and made you ignore a lot of its flaws, but unfortunately, they didn't put a lot of time into it. It's this great concept that doesn't go anywhere, so you don't really care about it. I was actually really excited when this game was announced, but it seems like from the time it was announced 6 months ago to now, there's been no promotion, no anything, no gameplay trailers or nothing. The game really just snuck under the radar and showed up at my door, and I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about that game. It seems to me that this is a clear sign that Ubisoft was like, yeah, it's not a very good game, so we'll just kind of push it out and hope people just ignore it. Now you can tell by my getup, I'm a fan of westerns. I love cowboys and western movies, all that stuff. So I was really stoked for this because, oh, western but modern, but it's not good. It's kind of refreshing, actually, to play a game that's just not good, because I play a lot of games that are like, it's alright, or, it's not personally for me, but maybe you won't like this game. If you do, you're lying to yourself because you wasted $60 on it. It's not a good game by any stretch of the imagination. It's bland, uninspired, it just doesn't work, kind of a little buggy at times. It's just, don't get it. Don't get it. It reminds me a lot of the Kane and Lynch 2 in that it was poorly designed and should never have been made, and you should not pick this up. Certainly not at $60. Even when this drops in price, I wouldn't even suggest. Just ignore this game, please.